Welcome, everyone. We'll get started in just a minute or two here. Okay, let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live demo session today. A few weeks ago, if you were able to catch it, we showed how easy it is to deploy Maestro on a Windows server. And so today we're going to do almost the exact same thing, but do it for your Linux servers. So Maestro is incredibly flexible. You can deploy on premises or in the cloud, like I said, on Windows or on Linux. And we even actually have a Maestro appliance, a pre built appliance available for you in the Azure Marketplace if you're interested in that. If you would like to get it, obviously we have a trial that you can just go ahead and download executables or binaries. We also have a deployment playlist right here on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. So 5-minute modules that'll help you get started really easily, or what our demo right now. If you're interested in automation, you can also, once you get your Maestro free trial up and running, you can run through and see how you can use the APIs, not only the GUI. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and we'll dive into the command line. So apologies, it's not a visually stimulating demo, but it is going to be a live demo that we'll hope that it all works out for us. So I did go through and kind of start a little bit to get prepared so you didn't have to watch things download, for example. What I do want to say is that Apache will need to be installed on your Linux server because we use a web GUI as our front end. And so you just need Apache to kind of serve that out. So we'll start there and we'll run an apt install Apache 2. Now, for Apache, I'm going to show you how to do a workaround to use the web UI. I'll show you what that means in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and show you what we have from the downloads. If I run a directory command, you can see I created a Maestro folder. You do not have to create a Maestro folder, but I just wanted to make everything nice, neat, and organized. So you can see I have 3 files in my Maestro directory here. I have Maestro Central, which is kind of the brains of the Maestro operation. And then I have the Maestro web application, which of course is that web UI that we'll use to manage our DNS, DHCP, and IPAM environments. And then I have Maestro controllers, which is the agent that we'll use in order to connect to any underlying DNS and DHCP services. Okay. So first, let's double check that Apache is up and running. And we'll do systemctl status Apache 2, and we can see that it is in fact active and running, which is good news. Let's get out of that. So what I would really do in order to get those files that I showed you here is just use the wget command and then copy and paste from the free trial page. So I'll show you what that looks like, but I'm not going to run it because it takes, a couple minutes to download. But essentially, if you run that wget command with the target location, you should be in business and you'll have the same directory that you're seeing here. Okay, so now that we've downloaded all 3 of those tools, let's go ahead and install Central. So of course, we'll extract that first by running a tar command. And these should all only take a few seconds, so don't worry. Okay, so now that we've run that, we'll move into that directory. And we'll just run, here, I'll show you what's in here, but we could just run the install. And again, this only takes a few seconds. The whole thing should only take about 15 minutes, in fact. So now that we've installed Maestro Central, again, remember Maestro Central is kind of the brains of the operation. Now we're going to install the web UI. Now we do want to know, I'm going to do everything on this same Ubuntu server. We'll work with all the common flavors of Linux, right? But I do want to note that I'm doing everything on the same server. in your case, you may have, separate DNS and separate DHCP servers. You may want to install Maestro Central and Maestro Web UI on different servers. It's up to you. But obviously, in a free trial or POC environment, you may just want to use one server. So we'll continue on. Let's go back out of this directory and we'll do a tar command with xzvf and we'll do our Maestro web. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and cd into that as well. Now this install is a little different, right? So we're still going to run the install command, but here we have to actually follow it up with a, I'm just bringing it up so I can actually see it, with the switch web virtual host domain command. So what this switch does is it actually instead of being able to browse to the IP address of the web UI, we're going to require a fully qualified domain name. So if you were to browse to the IP, essentially you'll get Apache, like the Apache landing page. By using the FQDN, then we are specifying that you are going to use Maestro. So which case means like if you're using the web server for other things, right, and you wanted to use a different FQDN to get to a different site or a different management tool, for example, you could still use the same server. So I've added this switch and now I'm going to say web2.maestro.com is the FQDN that I want to use in order to browse to the management window, the management UI. I will show you. So I'm actually just at home in my home environment, and I don't have Maestro.com set up. So I'll show you a quick workaround that you can use once we run this, so that you can kind of get it going in a lab situation where you may not have Active Directory or may not have a domain set up. If you have a domain, you can skip this workaround. But I'll show you right now what that workaround entails. Let's run the ifconfig command real quick just to see what my IP address is. Okay. So the workaround is an old school workaround that I'm sure a lot of you will know of. I'm of course using Windows, so I'm going to edit my hosts file. And basically what I am going to do is edit my host file so that web2.maestro.com, remember that's what I specified when I used my switch to install, and then make sure it matches this IP address. You can see that I've set this up a few times to get this going. So I'll save that. Okay. So now what happens is when I open the browser and I go to it does not appear. I see Apache working, but let's see what happened here. Oh, I know what happened. It's good to have these mistakes when you're live, right? So what happened is that I did not restart the Apache web service, even though it says it as plain as day right here for me. I did not go ahead and restart it. So it's all good. Let's go ahead and restart that service Apache to restart. And now let's see what we get. And now we get the correct Maestro login page, luckily. So an easy problem to fix. Hopefully you all are more detail oriented than I am, and you remember to restart your Apache service. But it's all good. So now I have the Maestro login right here. If you did sign up for the free trial, you would know that the username and password is administrator, and then we can go ahead and log in. Now, since this is a brand new installation, you saw me install it, it does give me this little message here that I don't have my license keys installed, of course. So let me quickly go find those and get rid of my Slack here. And because my computer did restart right before we started this, so I should pretty easily be able to find these license keys though. So just stick with me for one moment. Of course, you sign up for the free trial, just email you and you'll have those immediately available in your email inbox. And then all you have to do is copy and paste it from your email and then click import. So you see they're grayed out right now because I didn't have any licensing. So all that was available was the basic reporting tool here. But when I add the licenses and I do a quick read, then you can see that I have full use of everything here. So we're not quite done, right? We don't have DNS or DAP or IPAM. So let's go ahead and show basically creating a network using IPAM. Um, we will create, let's say the network 192.168.2.0/24. So we use CIDR notation to create new networks. Because I haven't added a DHCP server yet, I didn't have the option to add a DHCP scope. But once I would add a DHCP server, then I would have that option. So we'll go ahead and click next. If you would like, you can give it a title, or you can call it 192.168.2.0. Is that what I did? We'll see. And then click next. And then you can, of course, check to open IP after finish. And we'll click save. So that's a way that you can manually enter this information. We also offer the ability to import from a CSV file, right? So if I want to import this information, I can either import just kind of the framework, the networks, or I can import the whole kit and caboodle, all of my IP addresses. If I trust that my spreadsheets or my other DDI solutions that I might be migrating away from are totally valid and just rock solid database of IP addresses, maybe you want to choose the IP addresses option. Of course, Maestro will go through and kind of validate that things are correct. We'll use ping. If ICMP is available on your network, we'll use LLDP, we'll use SNMP, and then of course the contextual information you get from DNS and DHCP to just make sure that you are working with the best database you could possibly be working with, right? That's something you don't get from a spreadsheet. So if I were to then import this information, let's see if I can easily find my CSV. So you can find it just using the choose. Okay, so you notice that I have a tab separated CSV file here. But you can use tabs, you can use the commas, and what you can do is either copy and paste this information right here, or you can choose the file and import it that way as well. So we'll click next. When I click next, it gives me kind of what it's going to look like in Maestro. Now you notice I only have a few custom properties at the top here or built-in properties. If I had custom properties in a spreadsheet, then I could certainly use those here and add those in. Through the use of our custom properties tool. So that is entirely possible to continue tracking what you're already tracking. I can show errors. Luckily, there are none. And then we can click import and watch it import all of my networks, which should be pretty quick. And we will do one more installation after this import is done. I'll show you how you can add a DNS server pretty easily. And then, of course, you do the same for the DHCP server. And it is just a quick install. One error occurred for some reason. It doesn't like my range 23. We'll go back and check that out later. But as you can see, it has added other ranges along with the descriptive information. I have IPAM information. Let's see if we can get some DNS information in there before our demos up here. And so we'll do one last installation. If we back out, remember we have that controllers binary to install. So if I tar that, actually VF Maestro controllers, and then we go into that directory, and then again just run an install. And this is real quick. It's a very small footprint, this agent. In a Microsoft environment, you actually only need to install one agent through your whole domain. For Linux, we do have to install an agent on all of our DNS and DHCP servers. Again, this is all on the same server for me, but it will be required, obviously, as you have maybe a dozen or 2 dozen or hundreds of DNS and DHCP servers. So now that I've installed that agent, I should just be able to go into Maestro, into admin, click add DNS server. And of course, I forget what the IP address is, 172. Well, let's see if we can just copy that information. I think that'll work. Server name, let's just call it DC1. Server address, that worked, luckily. And then from the drop-down menu, we just select what will, it's a bind server that I installed. So we're going to use bind. And by the way, we will work with cloud services. Right now, that is just a part of our management console, the old thick client. So we are porting that over, that functionality over to the web UI in the next version. But it's entirely possible. And then once you have it deployed, you can manage it all from the web UI. But that is coming. So as you can see, I've added my DNS server. I have a state of OK, and that's all good news. And now I can go to my DNS tab and start creating new zones. So test, well, let's just call it maestro.com, huh? Create, save. And now I have a Micetro.com zone. It's added all of these records by default, and then I can go ahead and create new records. It's created this NS record by default, and now I can go ahead and create new records. And we are just a minute or two over time, although we got started a minute or two late today. If any questions, please reach out anytime. I have a full deployment of Maestro in just about 15 minutes. And thanks everyone for watching.